Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rotimi Eita. It's such an exciting time to be here today, and I'm excited to be here. And we always say it's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. Great to see you. Good to have you here. And of course, today is another day, and we will be following up our conversation from yesterday. Yesterday, we actually spoke about how to have tough conversations, and today will not be an exception. We're going to be having a fantastic time today. And of course, as usual, I like to say that we're streaming from Lagos to Nigeria, to West Africa, to Africa, and the entire world. This is the Good Morning Education Show. And I would love to know where you're calling from or streaming from, where you're connecting from. Please do let us know. Tell us who you are. Tell us your name. If this is your first time, we have what we call the Bell of Blessing. And the Bell of Blessing is for you, simply for you to experience a great time with us today. And I can promise you, it's going to be a great morning on the show today. We're not going to be left alone. I'm going to be doing this with some of my fantastic colleagues, experts, I call them. We're going to be bringing their views, their thoughts about the matter and conversation on ground. They're going to be telling us a lot about the issues from their view, from their perspective, and their own expertise. So today we'll be talking about dealing, I repeat, dealing with difficult employees. Sometimes um, this normally happens in organization, but we'll try to look at the causes, try to look at the strategies and the ways to be able to come out of that, scenario, dealing with difficult employees. And I'm sure you will find this fruitful. Remember, I said, please let us know where you're connecting with us from. Tell us your name as we connect. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. We have our tribe members online. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. And yes, so before we go into the show, I'm just going to have a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll begin to talk about the matter of the day. Remember, this is the Good Morning Education Show. Do not go anywhere, right? Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. Thank you very much. I will be right back after this short break. Thank you. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And as usual, we already have one of our famous tribe members on the show. Good morning from the brown roofed city of Ibadan. Folu, great to see you. A bell of blessing on a cold morning in Ibadan, I'm sure, due to the Hamatan. Yeah, tell us. Hope you guys are enjoying yourself. So we're having a great time today, and of course, this is the Good Morning Education Show, and we're excited that you're here and you're joining us live and direct. Another person is saying, okay, fantastic. We have another person, Gloria Nigeria, says good morning. Oh, Gloria, Gloria, how are you? Great to see you. Great to have you here on the show. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Just to take one more person or two more people, then we'll continue. Gloria, thank you for joining. I think I have another person, a famous. Yes, let me see. Yes, I think you have another person. We have Olatunde Adebayo. Yes, he's saying good morning, Miss. Excellent morning, Mr. Ita. Excellent morning to you as well. Olatunde Adebayo, thank you for your consistency, for joining us all the time. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you very much. Sophie, follow. I'm saying hello to you. Thanks for joining. And of course, same with Olatunde Adebayo. Thank you for joining. So today, like I rightfully said, we're going to be having a follow-up to our conversation yesterday. And we're talking about dealing with difficult employees. Dealing with difficult employees. I don't know if you've ever met a difficult employee before, but if you have, do let us know. Tell us, oh, breakfast in the city. Breakfast in the city. How are you? Daily Olutime. Wow, that's a great brand. Thanks for the other day. I had a very good experience with breakfast in the city. Yes. And if anyone is planning to have a very good breakfast, breakfast in the city is the place to connect with. Just give them a call, boss them, make an order, and you will be surprised. In fact, breakfast in the city, I know that Ugochi is in Abuja at the moment. So I'll ensure that Ugochi gets in touch with you guys. I'm sure if she connects with us on the show this morning, I'll reiterate that. So she's going to definitely Ugochi definitely is gonna patronize breakfast in the city. That's the official not official, unofficially. Breakfast in the City is our breakfast companion on the Good Morning Education show. So if you're looking for a good breakfast, bust them. A bell of blessings to breakfast in the city. And our one and only Cadet Academy TV, Cadet Academy, all the way from Abuja, our one and only Dr. Mrs. Lola Neke. Always a pleasure to have you. Always, always, always a pleasure to have you. You know, it's always a pleasure to have Dr. Lola Neke. She's an Amazon, powerful Amazon in education. You just need to have just 2 minutes with Lola and you're blown away. You're simply blown away. And one thing I want to say is that Lola has a program this weekend, 20th of February. It's called the Assessors Improvement webinar, right? And this is going to take place in the seat. Well, broadcasting live in the city of Abuja was a virtual webinar. So definitely, um, um, those of you who have not registered or who promised to register and you've not finalized your payment, please do so quickly. Dr. Lola Neke, she's going to be hosting that fantastic session. I will be there, and of course, you must be there. And without wasting much time, the one and only, the Sazi, the Dazzling, the Mizzle, the Shizzle, Manizzle, you know, the one lady republic, the one woman squad. If she speaks, you're on fire. If she dresses, you're on fire. If she sings, you're on fire. When she talks, oh my God, she's on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting more time, drum roll, presenting KK.
TV. Hi, everyone who has tuned in and who will tune in. It's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show, and I look forward to us just getting started. This is such a bone. This topic is such a bone, man.
KK, have you had breakfast from Breakfast in the City before?
I haven't.
Oh my goodness. KK, you're
where are they located?
Well, they're located in Abuja, but
you know, really? You tell me I live in Lagos about Abuja?
If I KK, we are due for a trip together now. Abba.
Actually, I should go to Abuja. There's a trip I had to move last year. You know, so I actually do need to go to Abuja.
Safety check now. Let's take a trip together now. Yes, Lola is saying that, and when she dances, oh my goodness, she's on fire. You are a woman with many dimensions. Many dimensions, trust me.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
from the phonetics,
so
to the content, to everything. You know. So
Okay.
they're telling you that
Yeah,
when you're in
absolutely.
Abuja, let's
Absolutely,
know.
Daily. I can't wait to try it because for Rotimi is a food connoisseur, you know. So for him to talk about you, it means that you do have something. So definitely when I'm in Abuja, I am planning a trip for this year to Abuja actually. I'm looking at
We are
second
going
quarter. So
together.
yes,
We're
absolutely.
going
We
together.
are coming
We're
to
going
chop that
together.
food.
Yes.
Okay, that'll be good. That'll be
You
good.
know, and just aside, this is my last trip to Abuja. Lola pumped me with agbalumo, sweet agbalumo.
Ah,
Trust
that's
me.
my favorite
I think
fruit ever.
I think I took almost the first time she gave me about 8 pieces. I was scared,
Hi.
and then I didn't know when I
Lola,
finished
ship
it.
some to Lagos.
And the second one she gave me, I think another. The second time I went to her place, she gave me another.
Mm-hmm.
I think almost 5 or 8 again. And as in, I was still forming like, is it not too much? I didn't know when the plate was filled with seeds. you know. So Lala is a great person any day, anytime. Number one fan. I'm number one fan. All right, today we'll be talking about dealing with difficult employees, right? And I'm excited because AK, this is hands-on for you, being someone who's worked with people and being someone who has people working for you. I'm sure that you've had several
both sides of the table.
So let's start with the obvious question on the Good Morning Education Show. We're talking about dealing with difficult employees. So what do we mean by difficult employees? Why should there be difficult employees? Who are difficult employees? Please take it up. KK.
Okay, so I mean, what we would say when we talk about when we use the term difficult just simply means that it's a tough nut to crack, right? So difficult could be in terms of I have a difficult piece of work I'm trying to do. I have a difficult piece of equipment. I have a difficult task. I have a difficult employee that I'm dealing with. I have a difficult boss, right? So this is somebody that you do not understand. This person seems to always go against the grain. This person always shares their point of view regardless of what happens and doesn't really want to flow with you. So difficult is in terms of your perception, right? So for that person, they might not be difficult, but for you, they are difficult because they just are not aligning with what you have said. If we are going A, everybody needs to go to A, but then that person is going to A, but they're kicking and screaming and arguing as to why they need to go to A, right? So that's a difficult, that's what you would term a difficult employee. Difficult could also be in terms of you've been training and teaching and mentoring and this person just doesn't get it, right? And so that's a difficult employee, again, in terms of the value that you're trying to give to the person and pull the person up in terms of capacity. So that again is difficult. Difficult could be again in terms of understanding, right? These are the policies, you need to uphold them. I know you have your own point of view, but you work here, so these are the policies. I need you to align. And again, that's it's not something that happens. So those are the ways that we could think in terms of difficult for an employee.
Fantastic. I love that, and you're really on fire. I really love that. Now let's even ask, because sometimes for those who are superiors, the first question is you almost tend to blame yourself that why didn't I spot this at the point of entry? And which is most times, so many people have different experiences at the point of entry. So the interview experience for some people is like some employees arm themselves for that interview experience. Everything plus prayer, plus fasting, plus reading, plus dressing. They meet up with the expectation of entering into the organization, but they forget to understand that what it took them to get in is not enough to take them further. And so at such point in time, can we say that difficult employees could actually be spotted at the point of entry? Could it be an entry flaw? Could it be a recruitment error? Let's start from that.
So I look at it a little differently. So a difficult employee, right? It's like throwing spice in the mix. And you only find out how spicy it is when you actually taste it, right? So, and that's the point. I'm not saying employees are food that we should taste, but sometimes till they're in a certain situation, you would never see how they would react to it. So you may ask all the situational questions, you may do all the things that you need to do, but till they're in that space where it just jars against them differently. They're not going to show up that difficult part of themselves. And difficult does not necessarily mean bad. I want to just say that difficult is just in terms of managing that person. And sometimes it could even be the person managing themselves, because you could be difficult without being disagreeable, without being disrespectful. So for me, that's, and like we talked about yesterday, you could be difficult, but then you're bringing solutions to the table as well. So yeah, it could be a flaw in hiring. Maybe your hiring process is not broad enough, so you're not capturing all the different elements that of this person's job. Or it could just be the fact that the person, hasn't been exposed to that thing that would bring out that part of their somebody.
So while you were speaking, your cousin stepped in. We have Dr. Titi Lope, Titi Layo, Titi Lomo, Titi Lowo.
Good morning. Good morning, KK. None of those are my
name.
My name is Titi. So it's not Titi Lomo, it's not Titi Layo, it's not
I'm adding it now. The blessings are many now.
Good morning, everyone.
Stop being a difficult analyst. You're trying to deal with difficult employees.
Rosimi, you went there.
1-0.
Yeah,
1-0.
Today, don't worry, I'm gentle, so I shall not be retaliating.
So Lola is saying hello. Say hi, Titi Lope. Lola is my right. Lola is my pal. Lady, the Lola take chop knuckle visible. Virtual chop knuckle.
Good morning, Lola Neke. How are you? Good morning, everyone joining us on the Good Morning Education Show. It's always a pleasure to have you, and I hope that you enjoy being here as much as we enjoy showing up every morning.
Having you.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. The truth about life is there's no time in your life they're not going to have difficult people. No time. Do you understand? No time. Whether it's an employee, it could be an in-law, it could be someone in your compound where you live. They're just difficult people all over the world. And I think it's important that, just as we talked about having difficult conversations yesterday, it's important that you also prepare for difficult people. So it's more than employees. That's what I would say. It's really about difficult people. I remember that this is a funny story. I remember that we once lived in a place whereby everybody's car is parked in a line, and because it's parked in a line, it means that in the morning it can be a challenge, leaving, depending on how early you leave. So we had this neighbor. She comes in the earliest, and she always wants to leave the earliest. But what was so annoying about her was the fact that when she comes in, she will go and park at the very, inside. And then every other person that comes after her will park, after her. And then she wants to leave at the crack of dawn. It was, and I felt in that situation that, why can't you kind of, park your car outside, where there was space for a little while, so that at least you're not like the first car. You're like the third or, whatever. But no, I just felt that have been difficult. So as I say this story, I use it to just show that it's not really only about employees. It's the fact that you always have difficult people all around you. So before I go into it, what I always say is that every situation that comes your way, you have to ask yourself, what will this situation teach me? You have to learn from each situation. So when you survive a difficult situation, when you survive a difficult employee or a difficult person, or you have to ask yourself, what's the lesson I've learned from this, and how do I apply this lesson in the next situation? So this example that I gave you, in my next house hunt, I made sure that I don't go into a compound that is all of us go they park one by one. I I ensured that, man, I avoided that as a plague, because I was one of the people that came in late and wasn't going to leave early. So it was an inconvenience for someone to either wake you up or, you know, disrupt your early morning ritual, especially if you don't have a driver that can come and be moving the car back and forth. So it's important that every situation that comes your way, they say, fool me once, fool yourself. You learn from it. And that's how we start. You must learn from every difficult situation, every difficult employee. So what that means is that as a business owner, as a school owner, every situation you learn from a difficult employee, you need to say, what updates do I need to do to my HR manual? What updates do I need to do to the way we recruit? What updates do I need to do with the way that we deal with people? One of the things that come out from, you know, dealing with difficult employees is to ensure upfront the goals are very clear, as in like very clear goals. And not only do you have clear goals, don't make it oral. Document, just that. Send it. So it's because those are some of the excuses that difficult employees and difficult people give. I thought, no, that I was doing this. She doesn't appreciate all my hard work, and they go about telling all the stories. So what I learned from handling difficult employees is, one, have everything documented. It's very clear on their goals up front. A lot of things say up front. When I'm recruiting people, I say it up front. This is how it is. You know, because there's some people that you recruit, you're a small school. So that means there needs to be flexibility in your roles. There's some people who come and say, no, when I was recruited only for this. Excuse me, it's a small school. It means that everybody needs to chip in. So that's why, like I said, you learn from these difficult situations and come back. And when you say, know that it's a small school, you will need to be able to be flexible. Yes, this is the main role that you're doing. However, you might need to take on other roles. So my first thing is document. The other thing is that always have, you know, periodic appraisals. And in these appraisals, was what KK also said yesterday, let the person self-evaluate, and you as well now evaluate. Ensure that process of sitting down is done. Because one of the key secrets of dealing with difficult people is that thing of, you know, when you give them feedback, you need to document the feedback, so that when you then need to make a tough decision later on, you know that you've been fair enough. One, your goals were clear. Two, I had periodic sit downs with you to give you feedback on your performance, which you acknowledge that you're going to do improvement. So when I now make that difficult situation or difficult decision to say, you know, it seems like we have to part ways, you would have seen that it was very clear. You know, I have documentary evidence, not because I'm going to show anybody, but because I can, you know, in my mind know that I did my best. I gave you a long rope and you just didn't use it. So I can clearly make that final decision to say, oh boy, it's like we need to part ways. And lastly, I would say that when you are giving feedback, as much as possible, ensure that the feedback is not on the person. The feedback is behavior based. The feedback is based on not that on the person. It's really behaviors and the outcomes. It needs to be very clear. Some of us are not very clear, and your work is not up to par. What does that mean? What does that mean? Your work is probably very specific. Your work requires you to do more detailed review of your work before you turn it in. I notice you don't check all your students. There are a lot of errors in it. You know, you are very, very specific. And then once you give them that specific feedback, you need to give them this, you need to agree the specific action step. So what do you need to do to improve on this? You need to, one, before you close for the day, do A, B, C, D, and E. Once you've done this, when you then need to make that difficult decision that eventually you might need to make, you know that in your heart of heart, you've done all that you need to do, to help the person.
Fantastic. That's very important. Thank you for that. Welcome, Ifyok. Ifyok, how are you? Good morning, Ifyok.
Good morning. I'm fine, thank you. Good morning, Titi. Good morning, KK. Good morning, Mr. Ojemi.
Ifyok, what happened to your video?
Well, I'm in a different location again today, and I didn't want to have to distract. It's distracting around me, so
okay.
A lot's happening around me, so I don't want to bring in that distraction. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. So we're talking about
Sorry, I'm coming in
dealing
late
with
as well.
difficult. No problem, no problem. Always a pleasure to still have you, last born. So we're dealing with difficult employees today as a subject matter. Do you have anything to say about that? Especially from the fact that I asked KK a question, and I love the way KK put it, but I'd like to know your thoughts. Sometimes people feel that it's probably because it wasn't spotted at the point of entry, at the point of recruitment. So sometimes you get to hear people talk about difficult employees. If only we had spotted this at the point of recruitment. Tell me, what are your thoughts? Is it possible that difficult employees are a product of a recruitment error?
Well, I wouldn't say particularly. Yes, sometimes it could be, and at other times it may not be, because see, some people are very good at pretending and masking, who they really are, but especially if they know that they have a fault that could that could be a negative factor for them during employment. So I would say it could be that you could miss something, okay, when you are recruiting. But on the other hand, it's about transparency, right? It's about you being able to put out your goals. Okay, this is what I'm looking out for. And if someone meets that criteria, you go ahead and employ. But there should also be a period of probation that should be able to correct that error if it happens. So being able to say, okay, I made an error. Okay, this person is not representing the way I expected him or her to represent. So I have a probation period whereby at the end there's an appraisal that happens, and you say, look, you're not meeting up to standard in here and here, in this area, and so far there has been no change, and so we cannot continue with that contract. And that can now be a measure to correct whatever error there could have been during recruitment.
Fantastic, fantastic. So let's take it a step further. So in dealing with difficult employees, I want to ask KK this question, right? What methods have you applied that has worked, and also what method do you think people do apply that doesn't quite get the job done?
Okay, so I would come at very, very valid question, to be honest, and I'll come from the point of view of disengagement. So when you have a difficult employee, a lot of times you want to deal with that person because they may have some level of disengagement in terms of the job or in terms of, generally being a member of the team. Now you have disengaged employees and you have actively disengaged employees. When you have disengaged employees, it means that they're not necessarily connecting, but they are doing their job. They're just not connecting, but they're getting their job done. Now that's a difficult employee, but they will do their job. They might not do it 100%, but they will get the job done. And then you have an actively disengaged employee. This person is not only they're not doing their job, but they're going around and telling other people not even to do the job. So it's like a toxic vine within the industry, within the organization. And so that is a problem, right? So I'm looking at this now in terms of tasks, not in terms of personality. All right. So when you look at that in terms of tasks, with an actively disengaged employee, for the person to get to that stage where you've termed them actively disengaged, it means that you've tried a couple of things. The first thing I always try is, what's the problem here? Can we talk about this? The second one I try is, okay, maybe you are in the wrong position. Let's change your position to something else. So what is it that you like doing? Maybe, I missed it during the recruitment cycle and during your probation period. Maybe I missed it totally. And so we would come back to you and say, okay, you know what exactly are your strengths? What do you like doing? Because we do believe that everybody has redeemable qualities. And so we'll have that conversation with the person. If you're in the wrong job, usually we move you to another job within the same organization and say, try this out and let's see what you can do. What are we trying to do? We're trying to find a fit for you, because you could just be a square peg in a round hole or in a triangle or not even on the board at all. So let's even see what we can do to get you on the board and get you in your space, right? But again, we always let our employees know that we are not going to pander to your comfort zone. You will have to stretch. Because stretching is just something that for us, capacity development is a big deal. And so we don't play with it here. So we will stretch you, but that person needs to understand the process of stretching and why, so that they're not then fighting, coming at you guns blazing because they feel, oh, you don't like me, you don't like my job, you're just stressing me, right? So we try and establish those things. We need you in a place of stretch. We need you in a space where you can actually find what you love doing, and sometimes you will do what you don't love doing because that's a job, simple. You got hired for it. But when we find that this person is just, it's an attitude thing, so the person doesn't necessarily care, the person might be immature, the person might just be, you know what, I don't care about you. That person becomes the elephant in the room. And I have had that problem before. So I had this employee when we just started, and this person was fantastic. I mean, when I couldn't drive the bus, this person would step in and drive the bus for me. Fantastic. But I just realized that the person had a really bad attitude. So they wouldn't smile. And one of our core values is friendliness. So it means that you're going to have a smile on your face. If you're alone, you don't have to smile. But when you're with the children, with the parents, you have to smile. It's our core value. And you must show our core value. That's it. So this person wouldn't smile, and I mean, it was difficult. It got so difficult that even in meetings, the person is frowning, he's throwing out shade. And it would just be such a toxic environment. And it became an elephant in the room because this person lived 2 doors from me. Her aunt introduced her to me to give her the job. And it wasn't like she was even bad at the job. No. But just that attitude was a problem, a huge, huge problem. And we eventually had to let that person go. And guess what? She sued me when I let her go. Even though we followed all the procedures that we should. But she sued me. She sued me for 10 million naira in 2014 or 2015. I can't remember now. And it was a crazy period for us, right? Yes, you can imagine, Titi. But that's how
laughing. Can you imagine?
And I had left this person grow. They became, honestly, the elephant in the room that nobody wanted to talk to. Because in a meeting, you don't want to talk. So when I talked about toxic work culture on my Instagram, I have been in toxic work culture. And I have enabled it simply because I didn't want wahala. You know what? Let's all be doing jeje. To deal with some difficult employees, you're going to have to can it. You're going to have to say, you know what, you cannot be in this system, especially when you have done all that you can to ensure that that person is integrated into the system. At that point in time, you put your foot down and you say, you know what, you've got to go, and let that person go. But make sure that you have put something in place to ensure that whatever hole might be is not a big deal. So I mean, that's how I deal with it. And come on, I can teach you how to do it, girl.
Yeah, I like what you said, and I'm gonna ask Titi the same question, but in a different way. And because you said something quite profound about people saying, I don't want wahala. That I don't want wahala concept. I really want us to talk about that, because what exactly is wahala? Is it looking bad or being a recipient of a culture that you inherited as a result of? Because a lot of times, what we allow persists, and what persists turns into culture, and that culture can damage a lot of things. So Titi, back to you. This wahala thing, how do we get away from that self-sabotage belief?
You see, it's really what Keke has said. Anything that you delay, you're just, what we call delaying the inevitable. Once you have a bad staff, whether it was a recruitment error or not, once you identify that, we all have this human part of us that keeps saying maybe the person will change. It takes a lot of courage to make the decision you have to make. It needs you to be, and those are the signs of a leader. It's a leadership skill for you to make tough decisions. Not everybody can make tough decisions. Rotimi, don't begrudge them. It takes a leader to make tough decisions. Tough decisions, even as a business, to make tough decisions. You know what? This thing's not working. It's not working. This thing is draining the income from another place. Let me cut it off. It doesn't matter. People say, people say, no. That's a leader making a tough decision. You see some organizations close down, shut down some of their subsidiaries or branches, or close some branches that are not profitable. Other people that are not I don't want to not leaders that courageous leaders will keep extending the evil day. This is not making money. You tried a lot of, but it's still not working. So it takes leadership skills to make those tough decisions, and not everyone can make it. But to be a leader, you have to. Sometimes you drag, but the moment you make those tough decisions, you need to make them. It's the same thing with our government now. We need the government to make some tough decisions, but because of wanting to do one party against another party or wanting to look good, it takes courage to be a leader. It takes courage to make those difficult decisions, and if you don't make them, it's like a cancer. That's just the truth. There's some people in your organization that they are good staff, fantastic stuff, but they're cancerous. Cancerous in that the culture, the behavior that they disseminate doesn't help. So they're good, efficient in their job, but they're serious bad mouthers, serious people that stab people in the back. They make the staff, want to start a looter unnecessarily. Those kind of things. They are good in their work, but they're not team players. They're soloists. They're good in their job, but they're not flexible. If you then take them to another role, they start, and that's not what you want. You don't want, those are not the, if you have someone, that does your core values, that is high on performance, but is low on your core values, you need to get rid of that person. There's a very important inspirational speaker. His name is Sinek. And he says that when he evaluated Navy SEALs, I don't know if you've ever seen that, he found that what was key was not performance. After a while, it was no longer performance. It's the fact that you hold dear to us, your core values. The core values of not leaving a soldier behind. That is ultimately what they're looking for. And so for each and every organization, each person listening out there, you will need to realize that performance is something, but your core values is more. So if you have people, employees that are good performers, but do not hold on to your core values, you need sooner or later, if you can't get them to imbibe your core values, you need to let go. And that's what's killing Nigeria, honestly, and that's what's killing a lot of businesses. Eventually, if people do not uphold your core values, things just, go south. I will leave it at that.
Thank you so much. I really love that submission by you, because really it takes courage. Let's be honest. I think you remember I shared that same experience with you, that I had to sit with a coach of mine, a mentor of mine, and having that conversation. It wasn't that easy. It helped at the end of the day that I listened, to that instruction many years ago, which was just, what, this is what to do. And I know the answer. But then I discovered that knowing the answer and driving the solution, they are two different things. It was tough. I needed someone to validate, but I just needed to hear that truth. Now, this is something I would like to ask. And also I'll start by saying it, that when we consult with organizations, most of the time, especially when it has to do with maybe a transformational experience or a cultural change, we always stress the need of alignment, which seems to be almost the same thing that you're saying, Titi, because a lot of times we have a lot of people who are out of alignment rather than in alignment. So you look at the vision of the organization and what the organization is trying to achieve, and find out that a lot of staff or a lot of people within the organization are out of alignment. So there's a vision disalignment as opposed to a vision alignment. And that is the seed that grows into a canker, like you said, that makes people become difficult. Because one of the things they see is their skill. They don't see their submission. They see their sense of capacity and expertise, but they don't see the need to align. And sometimes what normally happens is you begin to see clusters in an organization, smaller clusters, we call them cabals. And these cabals sometimes become the headache that creates erosion into the service eventually of the organization. I've had people, I've had trainings where I've gone to, and someone calls me and says, "Oh, you're the new trainer," and I said, "Yes." And the person says, "This is how it works here. You're the consultant. This is how it works here." Like, just to tell me that there's a cabal in this place. And I felt that was so audacious. You don't even know who I am. You don't even know what my mission is. But you're telling me ahead of time that I should not jump up and down. I should take it easy. That's a staff. Titi. You know? So sometimes it's that bad. And you find out that this kind of people, it starts by spread of whispers, right? Olatunde Adebayo says organization might have difficult employees of so many factors, which might be internal or external, but most of the times it is as a result of internal factors, lack of communication procedures on organization activity. Dele Olutume is saying, very insightful, thanks. I think it's time for us to recognize those who are here for the first time. So Dele Olutume is from Abuja, and she's here for the first time. She's also known as Breakfast in the City. She's one vision driving that. Titi, do you want to say welcome to them?
Hello, welcome to the Good Morning Show, Daily, and everyone that is joining us.
And a bell of blessing
Bell of blessing. Thank you for joining us. We are always excited to have new people, listening on the show. Thank you.
And of course, guess who is in the building? Basirat is in the building, longest time.
Wow.
Yes. So.
Hey, I love Basirat. I follow her on Instagram, and I love what.
Have you heard Basirat speak?
No, I don't think
so.
so.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! You will be blown away. And then we have Jordan Zoo for the first time. Jordan, hello, blessing to Jordan for the first time on the show. All right, so let's continue the conversation. Difficult. Oh, we have one more person. We have Sunday Oladokun. Good morning, moderators and analysts. Though I am an employee at the moment, I must say I am being enlightened by the conversation. Thank you so much, Sunday. This is the first time. We don't know where Sunday is connecting from, but bell of blessing to Sunday, right? Yes. Okay. So, and then we have, of course, Gloria. Gloria is from Finland, I believe. Yes, Gloria is from Finland. Gloria, Nigeria. Thank you for this comment. How do you deal with artisan staff, especially when they do not understand English? So, first of all, bell of blessing to Gloria. So, Titi, do you want to answer this? How do you deal with artisan staff, especially when they do not understand English so well?
Okay, so when you have artisans, first of all, I will say that let's start by ensuring we get the right people for the job. That's you. If you need a job that requires the person to understand good English, then you have to be patient and look for an artisan that understands good English. But if you don't really need that, and you have someone that can translate for the person, because there's a thing of understanding, so the language is the barrier, then that's a small problem if you have someone that can do the translation. But when it's more than language, when it's more than attitude, when it becomes attitude and then capacity, then it becomes a problem. So if you need, and then I always say employ the right people for the job. That's what I'll say. And I give this example. I have different classes of tailor. If I want to sew simple Iro and Buba, do you understand? There's a tailor that you know that this person is simple, no style. The person is 3,000 naira. It's fine because it's simple. That is to the person's capacity. But when you now want to sew skirt and blouse with frills with this, and you can't give it to the person that is into his capacity is at that level, then you also haven't gotten the right person for the job. Then later on, you're now very sad when the thing comes out and doesn't look quite like what you expect. So it's important to realize we need to make sure we are also giving the right people the job to the right people. And then there's a thing about communication. When I say something to you, it's not enough to just say it. You need to ensure that the communication is very clear. So ever you're saying, that's why when you go to your tailor and you start having a dress, I think that one is just trying to get into trouble. It's best to take a prototype, or you get the tailor to sketch what the person's understanding. So it's similar to what one of the comments saying that communication is key. So sometimes people have capacity, but you've not communicated well. That's why the person now seems difficult, because your communication of what your desires are or what the goals you want to achieve are not clear. That's why, when I talked earlier, I said a lot of things is important that you document. So the same thing, when you have a goal for someone to do, so that it doesn't matter if the person is difficult, you need to be very clear in your communication. Draw it out, write it out, ensure that the person understands. And then lastly, make sure the targets that you give the person is realistic. Because sometimes you also think someone is difficult because you're giving a realistic target. You know, when someone comes and you want to pay the person the same amount of money to deliver something he normally delivers in 2 weeks, in a few days, and you're not planning to, up the money, the resources, and all that. You as the giver of the instruction, you're also being difficult. So, true, there are some circumstances that make people that are not even normally difficult. If you agree for something and because you are not clear, had to do iteration 2-3 times. After a while, the other person starts becoming difficult because as soon as the person has expended resources and you don't have any plan to reimburse the person, then the person starts being difficult. So, we also need to look at difficult employees or difficult situations to say that are some of those things a result of as a result of our not being clear in terms of defining our goals, our requirements, or not being realistic in terms of the goals that we give, or also not being fair. So let me give an example. So you're a school owner, you employ relatives, they come in, they're not as hardworking as some of your other staff, but they get the promotion, they get the salary increase. If some of the other stuff start being difficult, it's some of the things we mentioned, say internal factors. It's hard for me to be the one doing all the work, and then someone else gets the praise and whatever. After a while, I to start being difficult when you want to send me on an errand and all that. Like, after I do this work and I don't get any recognition for it. So let's also understand that there are some actions that we do as well that lead to people being difficult.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much. We'd like to really thank those joining us and commenting as well. We really want to encourage that if you have questions, please do ask your questions. We will be willing to treat the questions and, of course, make your contributions as well. And we always are excited when we see new people or people who've been joining before. After a while, they went on a little break and they're coming back, just like Basirat. Basirat of Europe. I'm giving Basirat the title now, Basirat of Europe. Yeah, that's it. And then, of course, we have Sunday Oladokun from Kano. Sunday is connecting from Kano. Titi is connecting from Kano. Yes, yes.
Hello.
Yes. And, of course, we have KG Beauty. That's Kalane. Good morning. Very insightful session. Glad I joined. Fantastic. A bell of blessing to you. Thank you, Kay, for joining. Kay is joining from Port Harcourt, all the way from Port Harcourt. So, Titi, let's go straight into this question. Now, do you think there might be sometimes gender bias or gender interference when it comes to difficult employees, when it comes to dealing with difficult employees? Are there challenges with that perception?
Honestly, it is. Remember that people are coming from different backgrounds. And I'll give you a funny example. I had an abuki that used to watch our gate. I noticed that when I give instruction, he's difficult. But when my husband gives instruction, he does it. So I'm telling you, so I'm just giving you an example. The first few times I just thought, why is this guy being unnecessarily difficult when I tell him to do something? I didn't think too much about it. But then I observed, then I then mentioned it to my husband. Do you know that when this guy was giving me attitude, he just be giving me attitude. So from him, he came from a culture where women are not the ones giving the instruction. How can this woman be giving the instruction? So that's why it was being difficult. So I recognize that, especially when I'm dealing with people that I meet that I recognize have the same bias. And it's possible. You will always meet those situations where people are difficult to you because of their biases. They're difficult to you because, you are Yoruba and they feel that Yorubas are backstabbers. They're difficult to you because you went to this church and someone from this church has offended them. So the reasons can be endless. That's the point I'm trying to make. People come with their own biases. They also can be difficult because they've had a similar situation that, and they're difficult. So imagine if you had an artisan that just finished dealing with somebody who, after he did all the work, unclear instructions, she now still didn't pay him. When he comes to meet you, and you start towing that line, he starts giving you attitude, and that difficulty is from his bias. His bias with the the interaction that and we're all like that, honestly. Our different experiences, color color our views. So that everybody has one bias or the other. So I think it's important that as leaders, we need to manage our biases. We need to ensure that we give everybody the benefit of the doubt and let them on their own merit write down our perception of them. It's the same thing when someone tells you before you meet somebody, they're meeting Rotimi, that guy, he likes money too much. When you now meet Rotimi, everything you're hearing about him seems as if he likes money too much. So that's what I'm saying. It's important that you should always discourage people from passing on their own bias to you and say that you want to, get your own perception first.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So, one last question, or maybe not last, but at least this question is very important. How do we get to escape, or better still, so when it's strike one, strike two, strike three, you're out. When do we look at it as, not losing, but how do we know we've run out of patience? Because sometimes there's this tendency that, someone is asking for support, or somebody's asking that, okay, couldn't you just give this person another chance? Because there are times you have people who you're just thinking, am I too quick to let this person have the sledgehammer? Or am I overreacting? When is enough enough?
I don't know if there's one formula for all that, but what I would say is there are two skills: capacity and attitude. If you're seeing improvement if the person has attitude and you're seeing improvement in capacity, then you can give a longer rope. But if the issue is attitude and you're not seeing any improvement, then I would say give it a shorter rope, because capacity can improve. Some people, it will take them a month. Some people will take them 3. Some people will take them 6. The important factor there for me is always the attitude. So I'm willing to give a longer rope to people that have the right attitude, as against give a longer rope to people that have the wrong attitude. So for me, and this is me saying my own personality, is always to look on the side of attitude. So if I see that the person continuously has the right attitude and there's an incremental progress in the capacity, in the person's performance, then I'll give the person a longer rope and say, okay, let's do it. But if it's an attitude thing, if it's an attitude thing, from experience, I can tell you that if that the attitude is hard to change, attitude is hard to break, and if we just give the person a short rope.
Okay, so Lola is saying, I agree with Titi's point on gender biases. I wish I was. Basically, she had the same experience with a driver and gate man. I think it's because of the cultural and religious belief. Absolutely, absolutely. So I normally tell people, and I learned this from a friend. He says that the greatest problem that we have as human beings, there are just two. I can categorize the problem as two. He said, number one is ignorance. Number two is arrogance. And when you look at it, ignorance is lack of knowledge, which still speaks to capacity. You could train someone from what he doesn't know. You could get the person to get to know. But arrogance is a big problem. That's when the person, in fact, my friend will say that if you have arrogance problem, even God might not be able to help you. So I think sometimes some people get into a very bad state of reality where we won't say they're full of themselves, but they've gotten to a point where they are now self-conceited. And at the end of the day, they cannot be helped and they cannot fit in. And the most important thing about an organization is if you don't fit in, it's like saying you don't shape up. Then of course the next thing is for you to shape up. Keke, I think you wanted to say something. Keke, your smile is telling me you want to say something.
Sorry, no, it's not like I was just listening and agreeing with you that yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
I'll just agree with you.
So as we bring this show to a close today, fantastic conversation, what will be your advice? What will be your closing remark on the subject matter of the day? We'll start with KK, we'll end with Titi.
Captain, your network was breaking, so I didn't hear what you said. I don't know if you were addressing something to me.
Yes,
I couldn't hear. The network was breaking.
Okay, so closing remarks on this conversation. What will be your counsel to everyone out there?
Yeah, so if you're working with people, take the time to know the people that you're working with. Take the time to actually know what makes them tick. If people don't know that you care about them, then they don't care about what you know or what you want done. And that honestly is a fact. So take time to get to know them. And if you do have to make a difficult decision, you know what? Take on the balls that come with leadership and take that decision. Because at the end of the day, nobody is going to take the decision for you. It's your responsibility and you are going to have to do it. So those are my last words.
Okay, you've got some balls.
Yeah, I gotta be ballsy, man. Oh gosh, what to me? Did you really have to?
I just repeated what you said. I just said, okay, Titi.
I repeat the fifth. I think for me, my closing statement is the fact that we would always encounter difficult people, difficult employees. I think what's important is be upfront with your expectations as much as possible. Document those expectations. Set the consequences upfront. You know, that's why every employee must have a 3 months probation. So have that 3 months probation. At the end of each of those, the first month, give them feedback. Second month, give them. So at the third month, you can honestly tell them if you're going to keep them. So for me, it's important that you document the goals. You set the consequences clearly. You know, even when you give people bad feedback, you need to let them know that this is what I need you to do. This is the consequence if you don't get it done. I think it's also important to say, don't go focus on the behavior, not the person. Don't go bad mouthing difficult stuff because you're also not helping. And then finally, be courageous to make the tough decision if and when you need to.
Thank you so much. And one of the things I would like to end with is this, that as also superiors, never make a threat you're not willing to execute. Don't say, for example, I don't want this. If you do this, I'm going to let you off, and then you don't let people go off. Actually, that is what trains people into being difficult, because they know their limits and they know that they can call your bluff. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it all. If you like, I would advise that you go back and watch the episode. This session is so profound, and there's so many things that you need to learn from, you know. And like Keke said, you know, get some balls. You have to buy football, or you have to
tennis ball, just get the balls, man.
Balls, whatever. We're going to end the show, and of course, on the Good Morning Education Show, we love to end the show in style. We love to end the show on purpose. We want to end the show deliberately, because we believe it's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. And the ladies are going to say that for us today. So ladies, take it up for us. Thank you as we go.
It's always a great morning.
Good morning. The Good Morning Education. Sorry, great morning.
Great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. Have yourself a great day. God bless you. See you.
Titi is always correct.